Hello everyone. Within this video I would like to pose a question. What causes economic growth? Well, there's a lot of discussion in the media and in public discourse on whether or not a specific policy contributes to economic growth. There's no comprehensive explanation of economic growth as a whole offered. Within this three-part series I will explain the model I found most convincing, Marxian economics, specifically Luxemburgism. In this first part I will explain the labor theory of value and answer the question, profit. What is it really? Let's start by asking a seemingly easy question. What is value? The answer seems obvious at first, but as soon as you think more about it, contradictions arise between what I personally consider to be valuable and what society as a whole considers to be valuable. The water that is very necessary for my survival costs me nearly nothing, while diamonds are far more costly than water. So according to Marx, there are two types of value. One type of value is use value, which is determined by why you would want an object. A use value is unquantifiable since you can't really measure differences in usage. The other type of value is exchange value, price, which is quantifiable. So why does something have exchange value? The usual answer that is given is that supply and demand form a price. However, supply and demand are both market forces that can only explain price changes. If I tell you that 200 watches are needed, 100 watches are available, you still don't know the price. So first we need an explanation for the price, then we can consider supply and demand. What can determine exchange value? What is common among all commodities before they enter the market? They need to be produced. According to Marx, the value of a commodity is dependent on the average time it takes to produce said commodity for a worker of average skill. This he calls socially necessary labor time. Keep in mind here, the examples use average labor performed not by an individual, but the average of all labor performed in a certain field. An incompetent worker produces less value since you can't really raise the prices of your good because your worker is slower at producing them, while a competent worker might produce more value. We're just working with the average here, so keep that in mind. So how does socially necessary labor time actually translate into a price? Well, let's say this bracelet of seashells is produced using 10 seashells plus 10 minutes of average labor. Any material in the production process has a socially necessary labor time of its own. So one seashell could, for example, have a socially necessary labor time of 1 minute. So it takes on average 1 minute to collect a seashell at the beach. Well, we have 10 seashells, which would equate to 10 minutes of average labor, plus 10 minutes of labor, which would produce one bracelet. One bracelet would be worth 20 minutes of labor. If 1 minute of labor was priced at 17 cents, the minimum wage in the United States of America, the bracelet would be worth $3.40. Let's raise the question, can there be profit if everything is bought at its value? Well, let's demonstrate this using an example. Let's say I, as a capitalist, buy $500 of materials plus $200 of labor in the form of wages to produce $700 of products. I don't get any profit or surplus value from that. I'm getting exactly what I paid for. So if I actually have profit in reality, something has to be sold below its value. Well, either the materials I buy or the labor I buy have to be sold below their value. The materials I buy are also produced by capitalists with a profit, so no. The materials can't be sold below their value. The only other conclusion is that labor is sold below its value. This makes sense. The worker needs to sell his labor constantly, while the capitalist usually has more job applications than job openings. So let's run the same example again, but assume 50% of the labor is unpaid. So I would buy, as before, $500 of materials. I would buy $200 worth of labor using only $100 in wages to produce $700 of products. This would leave me with a surplus value or profit of $100. I get more value than I paid for. So the commodity price is independent from the wage. What the wage determines is how much money goes to the worker and how much money goes to the capitalist. So let's talk a bit more about what parts the production process consists of. The production process can generally be expressed with this formula. You have three parts of the commodity value. One part is constant capital, materials and machines you actually buy for the production. One part is variable capital, the amount of money that actually goes to the worker, and surplus, the part that goes to the capitalist. Well, constant capital can further be distinguished between materials and fixed capital, machines. A machine is called fixed capital because in the production process, not the entirety of its value is used up. You don't use an entire conveyor belt as material for the car production. However, there's still a value transfer. As a machine produces, its value is reduced by wear and tear. You have to constantly add value in the form of repairs in order to keep a machine working. So, since a machine in a certain way stores value and gives it off over time, it's called fixed capital. So, what impact do machines have on profit? The only reason that a machine is used within the production process is because they decrease the socially necessary labor time for a commodity. A machine enables a worker to produce more of a commodity in the same time span. So, let's say a new machine is introduced. Well, the amount of constant capital relative to variable capital increases. You have a greater portion of constant capital since you spend more money on the machine rather than on wages. Since profit is dependent on unpaid labor, less labor leads to less surplus value in the long term. However, why would any capitalist introduce a machine if it actually decreased their profit? Well, in the short term, you can get something called super profit from a machine. Since the machine allows your workers to produce more commodities, you can lower your prices. And as long as others don't use the same method, the same machine, to produce their commodities, you get an additional profit from the difference. However, in the long term, more and more people introduce that machine, both the price and the profit drop. This conclusion is called the falling rate of profit and is one of the many reasons why Marx thought capitalism to be ultimately unsustainable. It makes better technology detrimental to both the capitalist and the worker. Increased automation isn't used to free people from labor, it's used to intensify exploitation and leaves people starving without work. So this was a basic introduction to the concept of the labor theory of value. In the next video, I'm going to cover macroeconomics, what Marx's own writings regarding this. I hope the explanations I offered within the video were easy to follow and understandable. If you would recommend this video to other people, give it a like, and well, hopefully the next video is coming out soon.